Are we live? Let me check. Let's see. I think I'm screen sharing this. Hang on, give me a second. Just stop presenting that. Hey guys, it's Vinnax. I hope we're live. Let me just check so I don't have to repeat myself. It's my first Hangout. I think I must have created 2 events before this, and then another event to start this. So I'm just gonna make sure this is actually on live streaming on air before I say anything else. Yeah, it looks like it's streaming. Okay, yeah, it looks like we're live. Let me make sure there's no echo. Okay, let me see. Yeah, let me just make sure. Right, let me go back to what I want to actually talk about. So I came across this chick tract over here, and I thought I'd use this as a springboard for a conversation. So, as you can see, this is about sin. You've seen the title of the Hangout. It's going to be focused on sin and why it's an imaginary problem and the business-like nature of Christianity as a whole. This Hangout is public, so anyone, and I have invited people, can join. And the link is in everywhere. Everywhere you could possibly put a link, basically. So, open Hangout. Feel free to join. I haven't got any problems. We can move on from this topic if you're bored with it, but I'd like to stick to it. No structure. Yeah, it's me. Give me a second. Let me just check that. Let me just check something. Let's mute there for a second. Yeah, okay, we're live. Yes. Okay, so I will now begin reading said chick tract. Dun, dun, dun. Did you know you are in debt? Oh, by the way, this is called Paid in Full, this chick tract. And I am on Debunking Christianity blogspot.co.uk. So, did you know you're in debt because of sin? For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. A nice verse that's trotted out at churches. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it said to them who are under the law, that every month may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before God. Right? Do you realize what your sin debt will cost you for all eternity? For the wages of sin are death, and death and hell were cast into the lake of fire. This is the second death. And the smoke of the torrent ascended up forever. Revelations 14:11. Have you heard your sin paid? Have you heard your sin debt has been paid in full? Ooh, paid. Okay, and she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name Jesus. I'm not even going to bother reading this. It's the verses are relevant. You can read them yourselves. Will you believe the Bible, the record of God, of what God has done for you? And will you trust the eternity of your soul completely to Jesus? Praise your eyes. You must trust Jesus, and He alone can atone for your salvation. Right. The actual website has some. Basically, it shares my thought on what I think Christianity is, which is just a way they use guilt as a way to sell the message. So the first message is sin, obviously. So you are born in sin, and there's nothing you can do about that. Yeah, you literally, from the moment you're conceived, from the moment you're born, you are one sinful creature for some reason, and that's the way God made it. After the fall, of course, because there's this whole fall theory. But after the fall, everyone is born in sin, and because of this, your sin now has to be paid for. It actually, some Christians, I won't generalize too far. I think it's safe to say that some Christians believe that babies are still born in sin, and some Christians do believe babies go to hell. But I think a lot of them don't anymore. I think there's a walk around. You reading the Bible, a walk around. Yeah, I know. So yeah, I'm gonna read the first line of this. It says, "First, like any good sales pitch, needs a product to sell. Christianity, the product is sin." Exactly. I was in a hangout with Nate Cunningham and Skylar Fiction was there. Um, and I basically said the same thing. The whole concept of sin, the way it's made, the way God made this world, only makes sense from if you look at it from a business perspective, as in, oh, if you create the disease, you can sell the problem, and that's what Christianity is ultimately. The disease is sin. This sin was created by God. Everything was created by God. If you believe narrative, so sin had to have also been created by God. All the capacity to sin must have also been created by God. Either way, uh, then um, after creating disease and making sure there's no other way to remove said disease, you start providing the cure. And then you get rid of the competition, which the competition is works, and the cure is belief in Jesus to forgive your sin. So that's what I was trying to get at in that hangout. I figured I'd start a hangout, just talk about that. So, like I was saying, yes, this the Christianity, it really only makes sense from that business like perspective if you look at it like that. What is the secondly, after a person has pitched the imaginary problem, then giving the invented solution. By the way, the problem and the solution both come from the same place. Either God created the capacity to sin itself, um, but either way, unless God didn't create sin, in which case God didn't create everything, but that leads into a bigger problem. So, um, if anyone wants to take the Bible literally, then God put the tree and the serpent in the garden. He's omniscient. He knew Adam and Eve going to eat the fruit and fall. That's if you want to take the Bible literally. If you don't want to take the Bible literally, God is allowed human beings to fall, even though he could have easily stopped it without interfering with their free will because he's God and he can do nearly everything. What's the third one? So thirdly, to prevent the imaginary problem, an invented solution from being empirically examined, a dogma is used to glue the problem to the solution. Fate. Um, yes, fate. Basically, uh, basically, they don't want to provide you with any links, any sources, anything. This is the solution to the problem because I say so. That's Christianity for you. Um, Someone just joined. Slash 206. What's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's up? Are you a Christian or an atheist? It doesn't matter. Just
Christian.
you're a Christian. Ah, I think I've seen you
Just
before.
got the invite.
Did you? I think I've
Sweet.
seen you before.
I don't know how to use my avatar to block my face so everyone knows who I am.
There's a camera. There's like literally a camera button at the top.
Oh, there is?
Oh, I don't know if you've been listening to what I've been saying, but
Oh, wow, look at
yeah,
that. I
yeah. There
didn't
you
know
go. See
that.
magic, magic. It works. Oh,
Oh my gosh. All right.
right. I don't know if you've been
Did I
listening.
feel ugly today?
uh, you can actually do it before you get in the Hangouts. I know.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. Although if someone has mod control, they can turn off your camera, which I think is stupid.
Oh,
But
well,
you can always like use Medicam and hide your face anyways. So even if someone turned off my camera, my real face doesn't show anyways. So it's whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
oh my gosh, that
Feeds
is so
heating.
cool. Thank you for showing me that.
No problem. Just call me magician from now on.
That's
Right.
funny.
Can you see the screen share?
Yes.
Yeah, no worries. I don't know if you've listened to much of the Hangout beforehand. I was just going on about the business-like nature of your fate. which is. Did you listen to anything I said beforehand?
No, I haven't.
No. Okay. Well, I came across this Czech tract over here. I'll enlarge it so you can see it. And basically, I thought it was interesting, so I thought I'd do a hangout on it. Maybe get some perspectives, see where the conversation leads. So that's fun.
Did you know you are in debt because of your sin? This is a chick track.
Yeah, as far as I know. Yeah. Paid in full, it's called.
Which, what? Paid in full. Okay, I was gonna
Yeah.
ask you that because I've seen those. I've seen those everywhere. Those chick tracks.
I live in the UK. I don't see them as much, but yeah, I see a few. I only really see them when in church or something. Like if I ever go to church, I see them. But not too bad. Yeah, in the UK. Are you in the US?
I am in Italy. I'm in the military,
Oh,
but I'm about to leave in a couple days
no.
to go
They
back to the
gave you
States.
internet access.
Yeah, I know. For
They
now.
were like, "You did so well. We're gonna give you internet access."
Because I'm in one
Enjoy.
of the hotels right now, so
Oh, damn, that's impressive.
it's I can use it now, but like the later the night gets, the more people get on, and it'll be slower, and I can't do this
Yeah, no. Yeah, that's the problem with us, and
because it's
yeah, our
one
time
o'clock
zone
here.
is so different that everything seems at night for us. All these hangouts.
Yeah, so I was gonna ask you, is it 12 there or one or what?
It's almost 12. I'm guessing it's what, one there, or is
Oh,
it the
it's
same?
12.
It's 12 as well. Oh, so you're
Yeah,
GMT.
it's almost one here. Yep.
Yeah.
So I'm an hour ahead.
Yeah. Oh, you're an hour ahead. Yeah, that's fine. Did your time change then yesterday? Or was it 2 days ago?
I think it was yesterday. Yeah,
Yeah.
the one that sucks.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate the one that goes forward.
oh God, I had to get off like an hour earlier. I'm still recovering. uh,
That's funny because you go to bed later and wake up earlier
yeah, it's annoying. Like I remember
because you
I
don't want
stay
to go
up
to
late.
bed like.
Yeah, I remember I stay up late. I was watching Game of Thrones. I started Game of Thrones. I don't know if you watch it, but that show's addicting. And what do we call it? I was watching
I
it.
haven't no.
It was 2-1, and then when I clicked my phone again, it was 2 o'clock. I was like, wow, that sucks for a time change, isn't
Oh my gosh, yeah,
it?
it does suck. I like the other one is so much better.
Oh, so much better. An hour extra to sleep in. They need to just make it reduce it an hour every time. It makes no
Yeah,
sense, but
exactly.
yeah. Just imagine like twice a year,
So
like, go back an hour. That'd be hilarious.
exactly, or 24 years goes by and a day disappears.
Yeah, exactly. We can kill our own calendar slowly. Uh, that'd be good. Now, how's the military? Is it are you actually in the front lines or just training?
Oh no, not at all. I'm
Yeah.
in finance, so I take care of people's paychecks and
Oh,
collect debts.
no. Right. It's like the
So
sighting as I
nobody likes
pictured.
me.
I was imagining you going, gung ho, like Rambo style.
No, yeah, like the military is just another world. So you'll have, people that take care of people's pay, people that take care of people's paperwork, people that actually do the fighting,
Mm,
people that take care of maintenance issues, people that take care of electrical issues. I mean, it's just like a whole nother just mini environment. So
mm,
everybody's got to be ready to pick up a gun, but not everybody's like on the front line shooting crap
yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah, I know about the doctors and stuff as well. They don't usually shouldn't get involved in.
Yeah, like the medical personnel. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. It's yeah, it's still a tough job, I'm sure. Like, not taking that away, but
Yeah, it's stressful, but
know.
I'm glad I'm not near any bullets.
Yeah. Can only imagine, like,
Honestly,
I don't know if I could like sit in the military. Well, I'm out of shape
it just
anyway,
takes a
so I'd
certain
probably
kind of
die very, very
temperament.
quickly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so good on you anyways for defending the country. So
I guess I gotta say yes right now. I gotta say, yeah, no, I'm so glad I'm defending it.
Yeah, well, everyone in the end, without the finance guys, no one gets paid, no one gets paid, no one joins. Like so.
That's why I was saying we have the most important job. Nobody wants to work for free.
No, exactly. You gotta pay people to work. Capitalism.
As long as Congress gives us a budget
Hmm.
and gives us money, so we can decide the pay.
Uh, would you be a Democrat or conservative? You probably haven't. Sorry, I don't
Oh,
follow American politics
politically,
too
I'm
much, but
probably. I know that's cool. I haven't really thought much about the issues, but I tend to lean more conservative.
really?
I don't even know really what that means. Maybe morally it's conservative, but politically, I
Yeah.
don't. I'm against NAFTA. I don't really like NAFTA,
What's that?
but
Sorry, I don't
um,
follow American politics. I'm not even there.
that's the North Atlantic. How does it? North Atlantic Free Trade Association,
Mm.
NAFTA, and that's
Oh,
like basically outsourcing American jobs
yeah.
abroad and kind of
Yeah, that's a
making
big
our
problem, yeah,
stuff
especially.
competitive. Because if we do it domestically, it'll be more
It'll be
expensive, and
expensive,
they'll
yeah.
do it.
You send it to China, it's like so much cheaper. The bottom line.
Exactly. So like the manufacturing companies aren't really patriotic. They'll
Mm,
outsource in a second to
yeah.
get a better bottom line.
Mm.
And it just
Well,
is
let's
kind
not
of sad
generalize
how,
most, most, but yeah.
yeah, yeah,
It's true, yeah. I
and
agree.
it's the
Outsourcing is a
nature of the
massive problem.
beast.
So, yeah. I mean, you want to save the world, but that if the world was all equal, you wouldn't be able to do that anymore. So makes you wonder, like, are they really trying to make the world a better place, or just sort of have ties everywhere so they can outsource their jobs?
Yeah, a lot of times
Yeah.
it's outsourced to like kids,
Yeah,
child labor, and all
Apple
that
has the
crap.
most like terrible outsourcing. Like, if you like look into Apple, you'd almost break every iPhone you see.
Oh God, now I'm using an apple right now. Thank you, children. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Dark factories, as far as I've heard. Yeah. Cost a lot, but all that money does not go to those people. That's a sad bit.
Uh, like immigration, I'm probably more towards you know coming to the country the right way kind of thing. And
Hmm. Oh
I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah.
I haven't really looked much into that, but it's
Mm,
kind of annoying watching people just pour over the border. That's kind of annoying.
mm.
Um,
Yeah, I can see that.
taxes, I don't really like the income tax. That's annoying.
You don't like the income tax? Nobody likes the income tax. That's supposed to
Nobody
like
likes it.
taxes.
Yeah, I haven't really read much on it, but I feel like the income shouldn't be taxed. It should be like consumption.
Yeah.
Consumption should be taxed. So I
Consumption.
think what is that? The fair tax? I
Hmm?
think that's the fair tax. Instead of the income tax or the flat tax, you got something called the fair tax, where the tax is proportional to your consumption. So the rich
Ah,
get taxed proportionally
yeah,
by
that
how much
sounds
they consume or buy.
sounds reasonable. Yeah, I don't know. I don't
But
like
I haven't looked
disagree with
into
that. Same. I haven't I'm not an expert in American politics or UK politics for that matter either.
it. Yeah, neither am I, honestly.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
kind of it kind of devolves into all politics are gangsters kind of thing. It's not even
Mm.
worth it, so don't vote.
uh, don't trust a politician. That's all I know.
Honestly, though, I mean, how do you get that high up without, you know, pulling strings or knowing people that can pull strings and it gets
Yeah.
sketchy and it's just like if you're completely virtuous, like have you seen Mr. Smith Goes to Washington with James Stewart? That'll never happen.
No. It won't. You have to sort of, at some level, be deceptive because you just have to, really. I
You got to kind of toe the party line and
think.
work your way up the ladder and then stand for your convictions.
Yeah. After that, everything is fair game.
Right. But then you have a history of stuff contrary to your convictions, and then people bring out that paper trail once you start getting famous, and it's just a vicious
Yeah.
circle. It sucks.
Yeah, you just gotta make sure the other guy you're running against has it worse than you, basically.
Yeah. I only cheated on my wife once. He did it three
Yeah,
times.
yeah, exactly.
The heck?
It devolves into that, and you're like, oh, he only did it once, I suppose. It's all for him.
Oh,
He
that's sad.
only, yeah, no. Uh, anyway, I wonder should we get back to the topic at some stage? Let's see. What have you read the title? What do you think?
I pretty much agree with all that, just because I am a Christian, so
Hmm.
I'm kind of reading through like the main categories, and it
Um,
seems pretty orthodox, pretty good. And, but if you're not a Christian, then yeah, you probably disagree with it all,
yeah, no,
definitely.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've met some fairly interesting Christians. You don't tend to find the more orthodox ones here in the UK. Like, honestly, I've met Christians who don't believe in hell. I've met Christians who believe hell is not a thing. You stay on Earth and every Christian disappears, and you just like live out the rest of your life. I've met Christians who don't believe in Jesus. It's a weird place. It's
Yeah, the
very
Christian.
weird.
There's something called Christian. Have you heard of Christian atheism?
No, I haven't heard that title, but I'm pretty sure I've met Christians who don't
You can
believe.
actually you can go to Wikipedia and look it up. It's an actual legit position called Christian
Mm.
atheism.
Is it the one where you don't believe in Jesus, but you like his message, so you're a Christian? Like,
Pretty much, it
yeah,
basically gets all the miracles out, kind of like Thomas Jefferson did.
yeah,
You see, theological position in which the belief in the God of Christianity is rejected or absent, but the moral teachings of Jesus are followed.
yeah, yeah. I think I've seen that. Yeah, that's exactly the description I was given. So yeah, I don't know. That's why I asked the question because yeah, it's orthodox, but some people just don't agree with everything.
It's kind of a
Um,
backhanded compliment, I guess.
yeah, I try. I wonder should I keep going or like so like what I was saying before you got here was that it feels like a business almost where you know God invents the problem of sin and then he invents a solution and the solution is him, so you're kind of stuck relying on him and he gets rid of any other way to remove the problem entirely, so you have almost a monopoly. Actually, that's exactly what it is.
It's sort of a business analogy.
Yeah, that's
I don't
that's
know. I'd
that's
kind
the
of get
analogy.
into what you mean by invent, though.
Hmm?
I
Oh,
would
as in
kind of
like
want to delve into more what you mean by invent.
when I say I create, like what I was saying before was he either created the capacity for sin, knowing full well that sin was going to happen, or he created sin itself. That seems like a fairly that seems like fairly logical. Thing.
Would you say that the good that he was trying to realize was the idea that free creatures would freely want to come to him, but that the payoff for that was some people would freely reject him?
No, I don't like if he wanted free creatures to come to him, he wouldn't fail. It's my like if he truly wanted free creatures to come to him, he's all powerful. He'd know exactly how to do it.
But I think I agree with
Succeed.
the idea of omnipotence, which says that it's not necessarily the power to bring about all logically possible states of affairs, but probably it's there's a feasibility criterion there.
What do you mean? Go
So
on.
it might so like a lot of philosophers make that distinction between possible and feasible, where
Mm,
feasible means bring aboutable. But
yeah.
once you inject into a particular world the wild card of freedom, it might not be feasible for even omnipotence to bring about all saved, since this wild card of freedom kind of prevents that. And Alvin Plantinga, actually, he used to teach at Notre Dame. He calls that trans world depravity, that
Mm,
some persons have that property. But then, like other philosophers, like that formulate theodicies, they would say that because somebody exemplifies that property of trans world depravity, that the idea of them existing shouldn't give them veto power over all the other people that freely come to him, right?
yeah. Okay. That's it.
So that might be a motive to create rather than not to create.
Hmm. I see. I see. are you saying basically like, because of free will, God can't just do whatever is logically possible, basically. He can only do whatever is logically possible within the parameters of free will. Allows him.
Right. It would be a subset of possible worlds in which it's feasible for God to bring them about.
Yeah,
And,
within
s-
the
and so
yeah.
and so the theodicists might say that there are possible worlds in which free creatures all freely come to him, but that every time he actually goes to make such a world, it goes wrong. And so in that sense, it would be infeasible for God to create such a world in which all freely choose to come to him. But
But
that
would you
shouldn't give
yeah, but
that
would you
should
define that as an all-powerful being? No, that's what I'm like. Really, at this stage, omnipotence is stretching it.
but the omnipotent power would create a deficiency within himself. So using his all powerfulness, he could set limits to his power in order to ensure the bring about ability of
Yeah,
a
but
certain good that
the
he wants
minute
to
he
bring
sets a
about.
limit, the minute he sets a limit to his power, he's not omniscient anymore. He's not all powerful anymore. Sorry, I'm using the wrong term.
Omnipotent, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
the
exactly.
second
Only
he sets,
exactly. I would say only omnipotence could create that limit to himself. That limit is an actual offspring of the omnipotence itself. Because it's a logical contradiction to say that he could make us freely do something. Once he creates a free creature, now he's set certain parameters and boundaries in place such that he can only woo instead of force.
hang on, I'm wondering do you believe in total free will? What sort of limited free will?
I
Which,
believe in total free will, yeah.
as in free from all sort of events that that happen?
Freedom of all external and internal constraints. That these constraints could have an influence on your choice, but they don't determine it. There's an inner eye or soul that actually determines the choice based upon reasons.
Oh, I see. Soul is basically what you're saying determines the choice. So does the soul go
Right.
through the soul goes through the brain, and then the soul tells the brain to determine the choice.
Exactly. Kind of like a telephone.
Yeah, like
So
a
like the
laptop.
telephone would be the brain, or I guess you could even look at this Mac. The Mac could be the brain, and it's the means by which you can hear what I'm saying, but there's an actual person on the other end. So
Hmm.
that if you damage the Mac or if you damage the phone, I wouldn't be able to talk to you the way I'm talking to you right now. And that kind of explains the correlations between brain damage and the incapacity for the soul to fulfill certain functions it did have before the brain was damaged, kind of thing.
Okay. But the problem I see with that is that the brain works on electrical signals. So if the soul is communicating with the brain, it would have to be electrical signals. So the question, or electrical chemical signals, sorry, with the synapses. But that's where exactly would the soul interact with the brain? What part?
But that would be a spatial question though, and the soul would be spaceless, right?
It'd be
It'd be temporal
spaceless.
but spaceless. Yeah, so like the interaction problem, which plagues dualism, Cartesian dualism,
Mm.
the interaction problem kind of presupposes a sort of mechanistic explanation that wouldn't be there if the soul's spaceless, though, right?
If the soul's spaceless, no, but it would you the spaceless thing would eventually have to communicate with something that's in space, would it not? Which would be the brain.
Exactly, and the
So
communication
it'd have to do it
it would be in
somehow.
time, right?
But this thing
Exactly.
can
Yeah.
only use electrical chemical signals. Therefore, it follows that it has to use electrical chemical signals to influence the brain.
Exactly. The effect would be the electrical chemical signals in the brain. That would undeniably be the effect.
Right. So
But then the
how would
soul, when it
you
interacts with the brain,
yeah, how would you go about examining where exactly, like, where in the brain would you say, like, the interaction happens first? Hippocampus, freaking cerebrum, name a part.
anywhere you see an effect, if
But it
we
can't happen.
presuppose the soul, and it's
No, but you see, it can't happen anywhere because the pituitary gland, for example, it's a gland that produces hormones. If there's no way, like any, uh, for that to happen, you have to go through the hypothalamus first. So if you're gonna use the pituitary gland, you have to go through the hypothalamus. Therefore, the soul has to interact with the hypothalamus first to use any of the pituitary gland hormones. But
yeah,
uh,
yeah. If there's
think
a temporal
parts of the brain
priority,
like that.
certain
Like for
parts of the
example,
brain.
the cerebellum, for example, does fine motor functions, but you have to
Okay.
attract the frontal lobe, for example, before you can to tell your body to do the action before it's done. So we
Yeah,
can't
you could
just.
order it any way you want. Any kind of temporal priority you want. So if certain brain states depend on other brain states in some sort of relation of temporal priority, then
Mhm.
the soul would interact with that more primordial state that would be accountable for all these subsequent temporal brain states that would come about. But as far as isolating the particular
Yeah, that's.
place of the interaction, it kind of presupposes that there'd be a spatial point at which you could locate where the soul interacts. But if the soul's spaceless, then it seems like you hit a wall there, like an explanatory wall in terms of
Mhm.
physics and chemistry.
Well, but could you like is so you can't explain it using biology basically or chemistry? Sorry, it would be. Well,
The interaction itself, you'd probably have to explain metaphysically, yeah.
yeah, but then the problem is this is the problem I have with the soul is that you basically can't prove it basically. It's just if the soul exists, yeah, you can do all this fancy stuff, but you can't prove the soul exists. Even if God exists, you probably can prove the soul exists without
I
asking
think you can
questions.
prove it metaphysically, though, not biologically or chemically or anything like that, but it'd be a metaphysical argument. It wouldn't be a scientific argument, though.
Well, as soon as you say the soul makes the brain work, that you put that into the realms of science.
Well,
That
right at the
changes science
threshold of the
entirely.
interaction. Right at the threshold of the interaction. Scientifically, you can investigate the effects, but then when
Mhm.
you ask what this causes, that's causing the effects. If indeed the soul exists, then we have to leave the realm of science and go to metaphysics, since, like I said, the soul's spaceless. So
So how would you
I don't think
explain
science can study it or
dual
empirically verify
personalities, for
spatial.
example? How would you explain dual personalities, for example, under this model with the soul? Someone
Just
having the
dysfunction
split
in the brain.
personality. No, but
Just
what?
dysfunction in the brain. Some sort of dysfunction in the brain that a unifying soul can't, you know, control in some kind of unilateral way because of the duality there.
So just
Sort
this.
of like if you heard another voice coming through my Mac while I talked, but I'm trying to tell you that that's not me. So it's a
But
dysfunction with the
it's not
Mac,
like.
but not
Are you
necessarily
saying
with
there's
me
what
using the Mac.
two souls going on? Oh, right. Okay, so you're saying that if the Mac was broken, I might hear a different voice.
Right. And it was like emitting another voice or something.
No, but these dual personalities. This stuff goes very deep. We're talking about some people are Christian one time and atheist the other. We're not talking about like
Well,
superficial
I
sort of
guess then
differences. We're
extend the
talking
analogy,
about
then maybe I have two Macs.
maybe yeah, but you don't have two brains in your head.
Well, I mean, you could just to draw the analogy out, the two Macs could be
No,
analogously extended from these two personalities within the one brain, right?
wait, as the Mac, are you? I thought in the analogy the Mac was the brain, not the soul. You were the soul, and the Mac was the brain in this analogy.
Well, in the case of the dual personalities, I just adjusted the analogy slightly.
Okay, so the Macs are now the soul.
No,
So
no, the
there's
Macs
two
are the dual
souls.
personalities. Dual personalities. One soul because I'm still using two Macs.
Right, but you don't have two brains. That's what I'm saying. It's not the same. It's not even analogous.
But
That would work
suppose
if you
that
had
the
two brains.
Macs
Yeah,
were
absolutely.
joined by
But
cords.
yeah, but
It's an
this
analogy, so it breaks down. But suppose
it
that the
does
two
break.
Macs were joined by cords, so they have some kind of mechanical continuity. So in that sense, the two Macs joined could pose as two different personalities. But since I have one set of two Macs, I have one brain, and since it's me controlling the two Macs, I could stand for the soul within the analogy. You think?
Okay, so even this analogy, I don't think is going to hold up very, for very long. Not even for, like because
Well, none do. No
is it
analogies do
the
though.
yeah is it the left hemisphere and the right hemisphere is what you're on about? Because is that what you
You
mean
could say
by
that,
two
yeah.
max? Is that what you mean by
But
two
then I'd have to
max?
get into I'd have to get into psychology though of dual personality. Are the personalities isolated in the hemispheres or not? Is it more complicated than that?
No personality. I sort of let's say memory home like literally I believe all your like personality is in the brain because it's the only organ that can do it basically. There's no other organ that could possibly control personality.
The dualists would agree with you though. The dualist would say that there's a dysfunction in this brain, and the dysfunction of the brain is a sufficient explanation for the duality of the personalities. But that doesn't in any way mean that there isn't one soul behind that biochemical process.
No, but
But then again,
if
I'd
I
have to
brought
establish
someone
the
with a
existence of
split,
the soul based on other grounds.
yeah, if I brought someone with a split personality, for example, I mean, these things go very deep. You would not be able to tell which one is the real one without any
Right,
like prior knowledge to like what their personality was before. These things can run
right.
like we're
But that
talking
would be
different preferences, different religious beliefs, different. This is not like a simple.
right.
This guy likes ice cream. This guy doesn't. This is like
Agreed.
deep stuff.
Yeah. But that would be an
So,
epistemological block, though, right? But ontologically, we could say it's still possible that one personality links up with the soul, right?
yeah, one
Even though
personality with the
epistemologically
soul.
we might be blocked. Like, let's say God created person X, and person X
Yeah.
suffers from dual personality disorder, right?
Hmm.
But when God created X, he also instantiated a particular soul to be united with X's body in the embodied state, right? But
Yes.
then his brain goes wrong, it suffers from dysfunction and suffers from dual personality disorder. From God's point of view, or from in terms of linking this soul up with this particular brain, God knows the identity of this X and how it links up with these two personalities. Whereas
Hmm.
from our finite standpoint, we have an epistemological kind of barrier where we can't determine which personality links up with the X like God can. But I'm sure God, since he's just, he's going to take that into account as far as not having full control over their volitional capacities, because the dual personalities kind of take them two different ways. And I'm sure once he gets disembodied, he'll have a unifying personality where the brain doesn't weigh him down anymore, right?
So basically, he'll go back to being person X, or they'll both merge. I'm just wondering, like, will
Yeah, in
both
the
merge?
disembodied state, he won't be saddled by a dysfunction brain, and so
Right, so you'll kill
he'll
the
get
other
the
personality.
opportunity to whichever was the false personality, which only omniscience would know about, right?
False personality. You see, it's more complicated than, but yeah, okay, I see what you mean. He'll kill the other personality, and he himself will go to what, heaven, or if he was, what if that
Yeah,
personality?
because we would both agree though that personality isn't sufficient for personhood, right? There's more to what makes up a person than just their personality, right?
Actually, I honestly I think your personality is you, because hang on, let me find this definition I like to use. Let me just
Like
on
when
screen.
like when you're asleep, you don't really have much of a personality, right?
But when someone's asleep, would you call them themselves?
Sure.
Really?
It's just that their capacities for being themselves are lying dormant, but
Yeah.
that these
Their
capacities
capacities for
are
what? Say it again. Their capacities for being themselves. Yeah.
for being themselves are dormant, right? But they're
Yeah.
dormant.
They're dormant.
So I
Yes.
mean,
The
if they're dormant,
capacities for
that
being
means the
themselves are dormant.
personality isn't being expressed, though, right?
Yeah. So, like you basically you just said the words right there. Let me grab this definition off. 'Cause, I mean, what would there be more to a person than their personality? Even if a soul exists, it would still just be the soul's personality.
I think it
What
would
would
be
you
a
say?
collection of just various. I mean, it would depend on the person, because a person would be constituted by accidental and necessary properties sufficient for their particular person, right? So, like, I don't think I'd want to be married to my wife's personality. I'd want to be married to my wife, but there's more to my wife than just her personality, right?
Okay, so can you break it down? Like, okay, so part of a person, we have their personality and what else?
I guess the substance that stands under her personality that grounds it. Because I don't know, when I think of personality, I think of like a bundle of properties that are just floating around. But there's got to be
Your
something that
personality,
grounds
the
those
definition
properties,
is quite
right?
comprehensive. You were talking about mood, attitudes, opinion, clearly expressed in interactions with people. This is the
Perfect, yeah.
definition.
If that's what that means, then yeah, personality determines personhood. I agree.
Okay, yeah, okay.
I was more thinking like a bundle of disembodied properties constituting a personality, apart from an
Okay,
identity, I guess.
okay,
My
that's fine
bad.
then. That's fine. That's fine. Yeah, that's why I would say you are your personality basically. You know, like if yeah, that's fine. We both agree on that. Um, let's go back to what were we talking about before we went on to the soul tangent again? Something about
I
the.
think we're trying to just relate the soul to that dual personality issue, right?
All right. Do you still want to go on about that,
And
or should we move on?
oh, that's up to you. That's up to you. That's something that I got to read up on. Honestly, I really know
Mm.
next to nothing about dual personality. I was doing armchair philosophizing right there.
uh, pretty good made up stuff though.
I was just Socratically exploring it with with my Christian background.
With your Christian background. You were a Christian psychologist out there. That's some theistic psychology. Do you
Oh,
believe in
theistic
evolution? I'm
psychology.
wondering. Yeah. Do you believe in evolution?
With evolution, I
Yeah.
haven't read
Or
really anything on evolution, but I don't see it as incompatible with Christian belief.
no,
I
neither
see
do
what's
I. I just
incompatible with Christian belief is naturalistic evolution, and there's the metaphysic part. So if it's naturalistic
no. You see,
evolution, then of
you
course
believe.
naturalism is inconsistent with
So, what do you
Christian
mean by
belief.
naturalistic evolution? Do you mean what do you mean? Well,
Not God guided. God didn't guide the genetic mutations and the natural selection and stuff like that. Like it wasn't guided at all. It was just determined by genetic mutation and all that. There wasn't any kind of outside divine interference or divine guidance or anything like that. Like
That
that, God
itself
didn't come
doesn't
in.
really contradict with the Bible, I don't think. I mean,
What's that?
that doesn't really contradict with your faith, does it? Because you could just say God set it up in such a way that the genetic mutations would
Right. I mean, it's compatible with the Christian worldview.
yeah.
A lot of people would say what's incompatible though is naturalistic evolution because naturalism is contradictory to Christian belief. But the
No,
evolution
but
as a phenomenon itself that just plain old biology can discover, that'd be cool. That's fine. That I think that's religiously neutral, honestly. I think a Buddhist could believe in evolution.
yeah, I've never seen the problem with believing in evolution and Christianity. I used to believe in evolution and Christianity. It's always surprised me how much Christians have tried, not you obviously, have tried to fight evolution, and it's really irrelevant, I think, to most
Well, I think it's a
conversations.
subset of Christians, though. I mean, young Earth creationists, I think, have
Yeah,
a big
yeah.
problem with it.
Sorry, I didn't
But
want to generalize there. Yeah, yeah.
I didn't really, I haven't really looked into that either, honestly. I haven't really looked into whether there's an old or young Earth, but I tend to think it's old. I think the universe is probably 4.8 billion years old. I
It's
think the Earth is
4.5.
probably about
Oh,
4.5 billion.
the universe is older than the Earth, isn't it? It's not the universe is not like 4 point something billion years old. It's something older. Let me just look it up.
It's 14.8,
Yeah,
I
that's it.
think
Yeah,
is the,
that's it. Because yeah,
I
4.8
think that's
billion.
the latest calculation, but that changes like every year.
Mm. It gets refined. It's like 14.8 point something point. It's radiometric data.
I
You
think
gotta.
it's I think it's been calculated up to 20 in some calculations I've seen, up to
Yeah,
20 billion years.
yeah,
But
I don't know. Well, science has to evolve eventually. So,
definitely,
um,
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, but I've never understood why people really hate evolution. It really doesn't contradict with Christianity, as far as I know.
No, there's no explicit contradiction at all
No,
that I can see, honestly.
no, that's it. Yeah,
I really don't see it. The only objection that have any the least bit of sympathy for is just, I guess, if you take the Genesis accounts literally,
oh
I
yeah,
guess what a lot of Christians are worried about is that there was millions of years of predation before the fall. And I guess that's some kind of moral undercutting defeater for it. But honestly, I see no reason to think that that poses any sort of problem at all, considering the fact that Satan fell before we fell, and so Satan could have corrupted nature in such a way that there was predation or something along those lines. I still don't see an explicit contradiction.
yeah, I'm with
I
you
mean,
there.
that's just according to the Christian story.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Entirely with you there. Sorry, I was trying to get my train of thought back together so we could go back to.
Me and my wife were actually at Oxford like about 6 months ago.
Oh, nice. How was it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I really liked Oxford a lot, and we went to London for about a day, though we couldn't stay there for very long.
Oh, yeah,
But I got to go
London.
to
Oh,
C.S.
nice.
Lewis's house. I
Oh,
did the
Mr.
C.S.
C.S.
Lewis tour.
Lewis. Yeah, Mr.
Yeah,
C.S. Lewis. That guy, I've always heard his name. He's the
I think he
one.
got an
He's the one
honorary
who wrote that
doctorate
book, The Case for
posthumously.
Christ, isn't he? Yeah, The Case for
That's
Christ.
Lee Strobel.
Oh,
That's
what's?
Lee Strobel.
Wait, are you
Well,
sure?
C.S. Lewis died in 1963.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Now it's making sense. Let me
The
just.
same day JFK was assassinated.
Oh my God, there's a conspiracy theory. They're more Christians.
I know. And
Yeah.
actually, that day too, Aldous Huxley died.
Jesus Christ. That
All
was
three of
some
them
day.
died the same day.
Was he a Christian as well?
Aldous Huxley, I think, was a pantheist,
Oh.
but he wrote a real famous book called The Doors of Perception that the rock group The Doors got their title from, where he
I haven't
studies
heard of that.
he studied like
Ooh, I just can share the
he was
link.
trying to mimic Christian mystical states by taking hallucinogenic drugs, and he wrote a book called The Doors of Perception, chronicling his experience of that. And then Jim Morrison from The Doors actually got their name from the title of that book.
Nice.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's awesome. I've heard drugs create a lot of good music, so. uh,
Well,
what was
England's got a lot of the best music, but it's not fair.
That's right.
You
We're
guys, you
number.
guys have the Beatles, Stones, Led Zeppelin. It's like, what the heck?
Oh yeah, we have the Beatles. That's the worst. I never grew up with these people, so I was like, yeah, they're great. Yeah, England has them. Yeah. uh,
Oasis,
oh
The Verve.
man. Let me see. There's something I was trying to do here before we get back into. Oh right, yeah. Um, I'm wondering, where do you stand on this whole vicarious redemption thing? Do you believe if you pray to Jesus, he'll forgive your sins if you truly believe it?
I do. That's a complicated process, though, you know. I mean, it's a different path for everybody, so everybody would probably do it in a different way. But
Yeah,
everybody
but
walks their own path, and they do it with their own subjectivity, as Kierkegaard would say. But as far as the explicit, verses right there, I guess that sets another parameter there. So I agree that there's something wrong with us. There's something.
is that
I
from the
mean, if
moment we're
we
born,
like
or
even yeah, I think there is some kind of cutoff age, honestly, because I don't think a baby's brain capacities are there for it to be, explicitly Christian or non-Christian. So in a Christian universe, I would think that a just God would treat them a little differently. But as far as when, I guess God will know when the brain capacities are such where you can. Oh, I thought my wife was home. Sorry. Brain capacities were such that they could make the decision, based upon whatever evidence experiences have made them aware of existentially and all that stuff.
but for the
But
rest
then
of
at the
us,
end of the day, I mean, I can only speak from my own experience, though. I mean,
no, it's fine. I don't,
you know,
I'm not
you,
exactly holding you as an expert here. You
oh, who
speak,
is
you
that?
represent all Christians right now. You know that.
Oh no, please don't say that.
Every Christian is what you're representing.
I bet a lot of Christians would disagree with a lot of what I say. It's making me scared. Hopefully, we agree on the orthodox kernel. But like what you were saying before, you've met Christians that don't believe in that Christ is God and
Jesus,
all, and it's just
yeah.
like, wow, I don't. It's almost like I know some people that believe in squares that are spherical.
Do you know what? I had this funny thing shown to me where if you get a pen and you draw a square, then put a circle in it, that's a square circle. And I thought that was funny.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's a square and a circle at the same time, but not in the same sense. So that is not that contradiction.
I know, I just thought it just
Yeah,
uh,
and I heard somebody tell me too, like you can run and be stationary at the same time on a treadmill,
oh yeah, that could be an
but
missionary.
not in the same sense.
Yeah, there's some funny ones like that too.
Yeah,
Uh, um, let me see. Right. Um, so I'm wondering, do you believe in hell then, or which type of hell?
I do believe in hell. I think it's the property of it being eternal is probably just contingent. It's not necessary. It's totally contingent on the free will of the creature. I do believe in the possibility of people leaving hell. I do. I don't see it as everlasting punishment in the juridical sense, where there's a
Mm.
judge and he has a sentence, and then it's unable to be overturned. I think it's a self uh, inflicted kind of punishment, where in the same sense as if you don't get out of the road, you're going to get hit by a car. If you don't eat, you're going to starve. If you don't drink, you're going to dehydrate. According to the spiritual laws of the universe here, if you don't, like what Lewis says in The Problem of Pain, he's like, if you don't learn to eat the spiritual food that our spiritual bodies were designed to digest, we have no choice but to starve eternally. But we starve eternally. I mean, the food is there. Like, oh wait, somebody's knocking on my door. Crap. Hold on
Yeah,
one sec. My bad.
that's fun. While we wait, let's talk behind his back. um, let me see. Let me mute you so your conversation isn't being heard. Give me a second. Mute. There we go. There we go. There we go. His conversation isn't heard to us all. Sorry about that. Let me mute myself as well. I'm. Next time I leave the room, I'm going to play some dancing cats or something. Maybe get like another viewer in here. It's like cat videos. And I think I'll just finish reading this while he's away. So, thirdly, to prevent the imaginary problem, an event and solution from being empirically examined, the dogma is used to glue the problem to a solution, and that dogma is fate. Fourthly, once religious consumer has been exposed to the third step, and by now too
Okay,
much followed. Oh,
I'm
yeah.
back. My bad.
Just when they were enjoying my good reading voice.
Hey, I was going
Yeah,
to ask you something. I was going to ask
yeah,
your opinion on something.
yeah, go on.
What do you think about presuppositional apologetics?
Oh God!
Why does
Oh,
everyone laugh when I ask that?
because it's such a stupid. Like it's the stupidest.
Hey,
Oh my God!
since we both agree, and what's your belief? Are you agnostic or you adhere to?
Atheist. Atheist.
So you're atheist, I'm Christian. We both disagree with presuppositional apologetics. Maybe you can post this. You can post this YouTube video up like both atheist and Christian disagree
Yeah.
at whatever minute mark. So what is your problem with it?
What my problem with it is they flat out admit it's a circular argument. They'll try to put like these
It's
terms
it's
viciously.
virtuously circular.
Right.
It's
And then when you
virtuously
ask them to
circular.
explain what the difference is, they'll just tell you there's no real difference. And then they'll say, yeah, but it's still true. And you just sitting there
So
going, what the hell? Like
no,
that.
but you can do that. What's interesting too, though, you can do that with any fallacy. So let's say, like, I accuse you of doing a red herring. Oh, but
Yeah.
it's a
It's
virtuous
a
red
virtuous
herring.
here. It's a virtuous ad hominem.
It's a virtuous ad hominem, exactly.
Oh no way.
It's a virtuous poisoning of the well.
Oh no, it's probably the deadest argument I think I've seen. Like it's been shut down so quickly. Like the only time
It's
it's
so
useful is
popular though.
against like the most ignorant people, like yeah, the most ignorant atheists. Because I can't see that working with anyone that's even half logical. Like wait a minute, you're trying to prove God by starting with God. Don't you see a problem there?
Right,
That's
exactly.
like, don't you see a
Well,
problem? No.
they isolate themselves though, because they isolate themselves not only from like the people that disagree with them, like with atheists, but
Yeah.
they isolate fellow Christians too, because they
Mm.
actually say that the evidential approach is impious. So they accuse Christian brethren of impiety.
Yeah,
And so they isolate themselves, and so you can't even interact with them without them giving you a guilt trip
pretty much.
about
Yeah.
the fact that you're putting God in the dock kind of thing. Like he's
Yeah,
the
putting
judge,
putting
he's not
God on
supposed to be.
trial. Oh, jeez, I love that one. You put
It's
God
just
and
like,
try. There's other things as well. The fact that you can presuppose anything and then run down the argument and it'll work just as well. Magic shoes. I've done it with a magic shoe. You can do it like
yeah.
pick any object you want to like presuppose and then just
Well, Matt Dillahunty picks pixies
yeah. Universe creating
because what
things.
what
There
he
we go. There you go.
no what he does. This point is when he did that because in his I don't know if you've seen it his debate with Matt
Yeah.
Slick.
Oh, I seen that one. Yeah, that was hilarious.
Remember
I
when
think.
Matt Slick over and over again he was saying that God is the account for the laws of logic,
Yeah.
and Matt Dillahunty said over and over again that that's a sufficient account, but it's not necessary. You need a necessary and sufficient account for the laws of logic.
Yeah.
So the Pixie explanation is a sufficient account of logic in the same sense that at one point Thor was a sufficient explanation for thunder or
Yeah.
lightning.
Exactly.
So it's just like, but he wasn't seeing that point. It's just like, Slick, what are you doing?
Uh, you see, because you can't admit defeat in this argument. You have to sort of stick to it. Because the minute you go off your script, you're basically sort of screwed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
And this
like you
whole
have to read
idea
the
of you
script.
need certainty for knowledge, that's baloney.
That's bullshit as well. Like, what does certain thing have to do with truth? Nothing. It's just like
Well, and the thing is too, though, once you insert certainty in there, you get rid of the tripartite traditional definition. It's no longer justified true belief. It's
yeah,
justified true certain
certain
belief.
belief
They have
exactly.
three different qualifiers there,
Mm,
and they don't seem to notice that Edmund Gettier in the early part of the 20th century totally put that definition to rest. It's no longer justified true belief. Epistemologists have been at work correcting knowledge, or what we mean by knowledge, ever since those Gettier counterexamples came along.
mm.
And it's like they don't even know about that. They're still working back in the freaking 17th century with Descartes' demon, and it's just like epistemology has come a long way
Wait,
since Descartes.
no, it hasn't. What are you talking about? Get out of here, you heretic.
Well, they'll probably accuse me of chronological snobbery, but we have good reasons for that.
Mm.
We have good
No,
reasons.
we
That
don't
whole
get better
externalism.
over time. What's wrong with you?
Right. Like I'm the first one to admit that, truth is timeless, truth is truth, whatever, but this is not one of those cases. I mean,
Yeah.
epistemology has come a long way since Descartes', questions that he wrote, that he brought up.
Hmm. Oh, the apologetics is ridiculous as well. It's so funny.
Is it possible that God can reveal to you such that you can know them for certain?
No, it's
Yes,
not,
it's
because he'd have to change you fundamentally, and then you wouldn't be you. So he can reveal it to you. Oh man.
Right, but they would say it was some kind of extrinsic relation, some kind of
Mm.
extrinsic change where you don't change, but something around you changes. But even if that's the case,
Yes, you're still
even if
using your
that's the
senses
case,
though, and now you're stuck in how do you know that external event is real if you can't trust your senses?
see, there's the circle. That's a good point. I've always thought about that because you ask them, well, how do you know God grounds the laws of logic? Because he's revealed it in his word. How do you know he's revealed it in his word? Because you can read it. How do you know you can read it? Because I can see it. See, he's back relying on his senses.
Yeah. It's back to
Right.
relying on the senses to tell you then that you can't. And then when you try to decide, no, you can't rely on your senses. It's like
At the
wrong
end
with
of the day, people sense the Bible. They sense it. They can touch it. They can see it. So they fall prey to the same Cartesian problems that
you.
they claim everybody else does. And it's just so annoying. They go in a circle. You can do the how do you know game with them too, and the
Yeah.
circle just becomes more and more emphasized.
You just end up with the same sort of
Frustrating.
problem. It is really. It's a frustrating thing to argue against as well, and they know it is frustrating, so that's why they use it. I think they know full well it is. You're going to frustrate someone with this, and so they'll use it.
So I mean, it's just bullying. It's just conversation stopping.
I mean, the argument was
So
invented to silence the atheists. It wasn't invented to prove that God exists.
Well, not necessarily. Sometimes atheists get silent, yeah, and walk away. But a lot of times, like Saitem Brugengate, when you get to a certain point in the dialogue, he'll say like, "Have a nice day, bye."
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, if you're trying to convert or persuade people, that is awful. That is so annoying. It's just so like manipulative.
It's like and then you have to sort of answer his questions or he'll leave. That becomes.
Like we wouldn't even have got into dual personality or the
Yeah,
question
it'd
of
have
the
been
soul
like,
or anything.
it'd have been like,
He
do
would have been
you
like,
believe
how
in
do you
God?
know?
Yeah. Do you know that?
How do you know anything you're saying is true? How do you know anything you're saying is true? So you don't even get into talking about
Yeah,
psychology or philosophy or
yeah,
metaphysics or
basically.
anything.
How'd you know that? How'd you
Well, how
know
do you know
that?
that?
How'd you know
How do you know
that?
that? Exactly. Oh God. Oh my God. It's so freaking frustrating.
How'd you know it's frustrating?
Exactly. Exactly.
Everything is just
Oh, jeez.
massive infinite regress questions of how do you know that? How do you know that? Just eventually you're gonna be like, just shut up, leave me alone.
Hey, I'll put you in my circle though, but Nate Cunningham's actually set me up to talk to Matt Delaney,
Nosy.
probably sometime in early May.
Oh wow, I'd
And
love to see
I
that.
was flattered. I was just like, that would be awesome if I could talk to
Mm.
him. Because I know what I wanted to bring up with Matt Delaney?
Well, Matt Slick or Matt?
Presuppositionalism.
Oh, that'd be hilarious. Yeah.
And we could both knock it together. If
It'd be
there's a
awesome,
hidden
man.
argument in there, I just don't see it. But as it's presented by them, since they're the
No,
representatives of the argument, they are not persuasive to me at all. And I think it's
terrible.
worthy of mockery almost.
Yeah. It is. I mark it on a daily basis, and I think everyone should. It's just such a terrible argument.
And they
And like,
want it too, because mockery feeds into their messiah complex. They're
yeah,
martyrs. So the more
yeah,
the more negative feedback they get, the more they think they're doing the right thing. And it just feeds the delusion more and more. It's just so
yeah,
sad.
yeah. It's a sad thing. This. Oh no, you gotta love it though. Sometimes it's just such a like if you can keep your cool through that, you can keep your cool through anything really. If you can be calm through it and just not. Oh no, someone tried that shit. Yeah,
Another Yeah, but I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to talk to him. It just wouldn't be
Mm,
a productive dialogue. Like with
no.
G-Man, I couldn't talk to him. I just couldn't
Oh,
talk to him. I'd probably just leave the room
G-Man,
and
G-Man, this
let him
clown car.
accuse me. He would accuse me of cowardice once I left the room, like in
Yeah.
a WWF match or something.
Yeah. He
It's
left the
it's never
room.
about just
Yeah, go on.
they're persuade. They don't persuade. They don't
Mm,
persuade. They're not trying to assist other people to get at truth. It's all a matter of shutting you down.
mm.
It's
I mean,
so weird. It's so like
yeah, basically. It's just I honestly think they just hate atheists, basically, and they just wanna, this is their way of attacking us without actually freaking out and grabbing a gun and shooting us all. Which, I mean, I'm fine with that, if that's true. I mean, I'd rather them here on the internet spewing bullshit than in real life, that's for damn sure.
see, at least we're an ocean away from them doing that to us.
Yes, to know our guns here. Off you. I'm saying.
But I only have like a couple more days though.
Back you
But
go.
but
At
I'm
least,
PCSing to
yeah.
Texas though. I'll be right by Austin, right where Matt Delahunty lives.
Oh, nice.
So
You
that'd
can
be
like
cool
walk up
to
to his
be
house
able
and be
to.
like, "Hey, Matt, how you doing?" Could you imagine?
Well, after every episode of the Atheist Experience, they go out to eat and they invite other people out to just
Yeah.
come out and talk and be cool. Because Matt Delahunty seems like a really cool guy. You
Yeah.
just don't be a jerk.
Mm,
Just be a cool guy. I don't know. He loses his temper, but like, he's human first of all, but like second of all, he's dealing with like ignorant people, really ignorant people.
dealing with G-man types, so what are you gonna do? I mean, like you're
Right.
talking about people who will like try to defend slavery just because it's
Oh, is that what he does?
G-man. Oh, he says he's okay with slavery. G-man is like
Like
100%
chattel
okay.
slavery.
Oh no no
Chattel
no no no!
slavery?
Not
He's okay with
African
it?
American slavery, just the slavery in the
Oh,
Bible. You know the one that says you can beat your
Exodus
slave,
21,
and
right?
if he gets up into, he's okay with that. But the other
Oh, wow.
African American slavery, no, there's a difference.
That whole
I
that
can't tell
whole
you
issue
what
gets
it is, but
tricky
there's a
too,
difference.
because there's
Mm.
what's that?
I know, go on us.
No, I was just gonna say I've actually started reading up on that
Mm.
based upon Matt Delahunty's videos. Because it is tricky. You have to get past the first, second, third level of the exchange because honestly, right away, if you just toss out the indentured servitude thing, that
No,
Exodus 21
no.
verse is going to be tossed right out. So, and then sex slaves and polygamy and all these issues have to be studied in depth.
Mm.
But uh, but yeah, if he just calls it indentured servitude and leaves
Yeah.
it right there at the second level of the dialogue, that's totally insufficient.
Mm.
That's completely insufficient.
It's not
But yeah, that would
indentured
be an interesting
servitude.
debate too.
Yeah, it'd be fun. Maybe I'll do a hangout on it, just slavery, and just be like slavery in the Bible. Let's discuss. Um, let me. What was I looking for? Yeah, no. It's just some people here are like, damn. Like, have you heard of this one on Johnny KZJ? J. Whatever. Johnny KZJ. Have you heard of
I haven't
him?
heard that name now.
You haven't? Oh, okay.
No.
No, he kind of hates Muslims. I get the feeling that he would quickly kill a Muslim if he could get away with it. I just get that feeling from him.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hopefully in self-defense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not what I meant.
Okay. Never mind. He'll be
uh,
like, I thought he was coming at me.
like in every hangout I've been in, he's always brought up Muslims. It's kind of like his pet peeve. He used to be a Muslim. Now he's an ex-Muslim. I don't know. Maybe he still has some hatred for the religion he grew up out of. He's now a Christian, by the way. If you're wondering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like against all Muslims or just the extremists?
No, Muslims. He doesn't bother differentiating. I'm sure he isn't against. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say he's not against the um, calm, non-violent Muslims.
Okay. Yeah, I hope not. That'd be kind
Yeah,
of weird.
that would be. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt there, so it's fine. But yeah.
Hey, but I'm gonna go ahead and add you to add you my circle, and then I'll invite you. But I gotta go. I gotta eat lunch, and I
Yeah,
gotta get
no
back to
worries.
work because I was on my lunch break. You were the
No worries.
man. Take it easy.
See you later,
All
man.
right,
It's been
later.
fun talking to you.
All right, bye.
Peace out. Okay, he's gone now. Let's talk about him behind his back. But seriously, presuppositionalism is it's a stupid argument. Don't use it. Just do yourself a favor and don't use it. Oh, it's such a terrible argument. Okay, I'm going to read the rest of this and then probably end the hangout if no one else joins, which I think is fair. Right, let's see. Thirdly, to prevent the imaginary problem and the invented solution from being empirically examined, the dogmas. Oh, I've read this already. Okay, let's see. Fourthly, once a religious consumer has been exposed to the third step by now, to have swallowed the sales pitch, hook, line, and sinker, the entire imaginary dogma is sealed by damnation. Hellfire awaits those who reject or even doubt the sales pitch. Yeah, that's basically the threat that's used. So if you think this is all a story, you'll burn. So that's used to sort of keep you in line. Don't disobey or you'll burn, you know. And again, not all Christians believe in hell. I think I said it in this hangout. I don't want to be mischaracterized. I know there's some Christians who don't believe in hell or any of that stuff. So yeah, just want to make that perfectly clear. Okay. Now let's examine this track statements. A, they are rambling statements from Eclet writings in the New Testament. Of the 27 religious texts that make up the New Testament, only 7 could be used to prove this point, and most from a man who never even saw nor heard the earthly Jesus preach. Paul. Like most gospel tracts, much of the sales pitch comes from Paul's perfected theological views. Romans. Reality proves that this salvation pitch is nothing more than a cut and paste theory created by the tract's order to fish the converts. This is something else about Paul, this road to Damascus thing. I want to talk about that. It was hot and it was in a desert. Mirages happen. You know, I don't think I need to explain further why the Paul story makes no sense. But anyway, notice too that nowhere does God, one demanding the atonement for the imaginary problem of sin, make a single statement. That's true. That is true in this tract, anyways. Yes, that's actually quite valid. Notice also that Jesus, the center of which the entire Christian faith is built upon, makes any statements except a rambling statement taken from the Gospel of John made by other Jews, since Jesus hated Gentiles. Finally, notice that the whole Islamic rambling sales propaganda assumes the person reading the track understands completely the concept of sin, atonement, salvation, as found in Jewish conventional theology as drawn from the Hebrew Bible. In short, these gospel tracts little more than fishing for human guilt trips through ignorance. Oh, built on ignorance, yeah. Yeah, that's actually a thing, actually. Well, I suppose it's legitimate. If this is made in America, most people understand the gospel, so. I mean, you don't need to waste your time explaining it. If this was made in Africa, for example, where they are literate, well, they wouldn't make this because they wouldn't be able to read, but you know what I mean. Yeah, a lot of the verses seem to be from Romans, Acts, First Timothy, Revelation, not really a lot from Jesus himself. I don't think Jesus said much about hell. Well, yeah, Jesus was more of the hippie who had that one freak out kind of dude. What's this? A lot of comments. I don't think there's much more of this. Okay, well, let me just see. I think I'll end the hangout here. I don't know. I feel like I should come up with a clever X outro or something like. Next time we'll be discussing something else, which is true. All right, see you guys later. It's been Vindex. Nice to meet you. Bye. Did I say nice to meet you? Why would I say that? It's myself.